of when times get tough. Now, no one can argue that life doesn't have tough times. And the age-old question is why? The suffering of this world takes many forms. It can be through disasters, through wars, through illness, through stress, homelessness, you name it. When it comes, we don't like it. And so it's very natural to say, well, why? What have I done to deserve this? Now, I don't profess to have the answers to this question, but there are things that we can take into account. When we look at nature, we love the blue skies and sunny days. We don't like the grey days with rain, but where would we be without them? The world would dry up and life couldn't be supported. Actually, there's no such thing as bad weather. There is just weather we like and weather we don't like, or weather that we can cope with and weather that we can't cope with. In a way, that's what life is like. The book of Job was written to tackle this issue. We think it was written between about 2000 and 1800 BC. So it's a question that's been with us for a long, long time. The book itself is a bit of a tedious read, but basically Job was a God-fearing, righteous man, and calamities fell on him one by one. He lost his wealth, he lost his family, he lost his health. He was left sitting in a rubbish dump, trying to scrape the sores on his body with broken bits of pottery. And even his wife gave up and said, why don't you just curse God and die? Job was angry, he was miserable, but the one thing he refused to do was curse God. He was angry, he wanted to know why all this was happening, but he stopped short of actually cursing God. And his friends came to talk to him about what had happened. The first one, Bildad, was a little bit of sort of accusing of him, saying, look, Job, you've helped out all these other people when they've had hard times. You've told them to have hope and have courage and all that sort of thing. Now you understand what it's really like, don't you? So really, you've never understood, and all the hope that you were offering was probably false. And then he suggested to Job, you must have sinned terribly. Other friends came along and they seemed to agree. They tell him that you're going to need to be a lot more righteous if you want to please God. Even suggesting the fact that the wrong that he'd done, he probably deserved a lot more punishment than what he was getting. So they weren't exactly helpful friends. But this immediately raises the issue of deserving of suffering. And the question people ask is why? What have I done to deserve this? And the answer is nothing. The only way which we can bring on our own suffering is if we neglect to look after our bodies, we abuse them, and then wonder why they begin to break down. Job eventually took his cause to God. He didn't get an explanation, but he realised in the end that God was far greater than any of his understanding. And so right at the end, in Job 42 verse 2, I know that you can do all things. No purpose of yours can be thwarted. And you asked, who is this that obscures my plans without knowledge? Surely I spoke of things I did not understand, things too wonderful for me to know. There's no easy answer in suffering, but the truth is that everything is in God's hands, and God is the essence of goodness.